Hello there and welcome. My name is Franklin and you are tuned in to the Family History Foundation. Family History Foundation, the past relative to the future. And you can find us over at familyhistoryfoundation.com. And today we're going to get into something really cool, how to research ancestors from another country. And I'm sure everyone has sort of dabbled or is interested in this. And these are 7 steps to unlock their heroic past. So before we get into that, really quickly, like and subscribe to support family history and genealogy. Check the description below for more genealogy goodies, QR code at the end of the article, and let's jump right in. So these are how to research ancestors from another country and 7 steps to unlock their heroic past. So are you staring at an old photograph, wondering who your great grandmother really was before she boarded that ship to America? Or perhaps your great great grandmother? Well, you're not alone. Many family historians eventually hit an international wall in their research journey. If you're asking yourself how to research ancestors from another country, well, this step by step guide will show you how to unlock your global genealogy with practical tools, heartfelt stories, and a touch of adventure, because it is the adventure that we're tapping into as family historians. And I like to say the difference between genealogy and family history is really the stories behind the dates and names. So, learning how to research ancestors from another country can feel overwhelming at first. And believe me, I've done it and I've overcome it and I've accomplished it from several lines of my genealogy. And so, with the right approach, it becomes a rewarding and emotional experience. And you really learn about yourself through unraveling the tapestry and stories of where your ancestors came from a different country. And it really sort of enlightens our sort of sense of global belonging and about our own sort of past and what culture makes us who we are today. Okay. And you're about to open the door to generations of stories waiting to be told. Now, I don't have time for all the stories, obviously, but I have so many wonderful stories of discovery about my own roots, expected and unexpected, learning about who I am and discovering cultures that are part of me and part of my genetics and my story. So I really am wanting you to have that same sense of discovery and curiosity and learning and growth about who we are, because oftentimes we center ourselves around the here and now in the present. But really, what we want to do, for me, it's so important to just understand who we are as global citizens. And our ancestry, our family histories can really guide us and enlighten us to who they are. Because oftentimes, when people move from one country to another, they sort of put aside some of their traditions and maybe some of their language, right? And because they want to sort of fit into where they belong. And now we get to rediscover those things, stories that maybe weren't passed on. So if you go on over and you follow the link below to familyhistoryfoundation.com and read the article, what we do in the article, okay, so let's understand this. I'm focusing this article specifically on Italian and German history. Okay, so understanding records and how to research ancestors from those particular countries, because they represent large swaths of United States immigrants that came through Ellis Island in particular. So Italians and Germans are kind of a broad breach. So we want to start with that. However, okay, let me just say also that this video and the article is still for you if you have ancestors that have come from any other country, really, because these 7 research steps are broad brushed. Okay, they're open application. They can apply to any country in particular. I just am using Italy and Germany as set examples. Okay, however, the research methodologies within the article can apply to anywhere else. Okay, so let's dive in so that you know where we're going with this. You can sort of get into your mindset and know what your takeaways are. Okay, so again, thanks for tuning in, familyhistoryfoundation.com. We try to get you where you want to be in your genealogy research and be alongside you, kind of cheering you. Okay, so here we go. There are 7 steps. I'm going to just count the steps, and then we're going to cover them, okay? I'm going to go over them, and then, if you want the more detailed sort of nuanced bits, head on over and I'd suggest reading the article there. So step 1, start with what you know, okay? Step 2, we're going to pinpoint the country, okay? Step 3, we want to learn a little bit about the language, because when you're researching records from another place, you got to know that. Step 4, find the right records abroad. Step 5, contact local archives and societies. Step 6, connect with living relatives. Step 7, preserve and share your discoveries. And that's it, okay? Some of them may sound easy, some of them may sound uncomfortable, some of them may sound unfamiliar, but by the time we're done, you're going to have a great sense of how to get this done, okay? So, and this is a video, but of course, if you want the actual archived format with all the words, okay, written down that you can go over and over and over, or you can rewatch this video as many times as you want, head on over, follow the link below. Okay, so step 1, let's start with what you know. Okay, what do you know about your ancestors? So before jumping into your foreign archives, solidify the information you already have. And I've preached this so many times on this channel and on my blog, okay? And just kind of do a profile of your ancestors. In the other video and posts, I gave you, forms you can use to track information. But get the full names, birth, marriage, death dates, the BMD dates, immigration records, naturalization documents. Get sources like family Bibles or oral histories and heirlooms, and you can use the forms that we've attached in previous videos, and you can sort of get that. Maybe pick an ancestor, right? Get all the bio you can on them before heading overseas with that bio, so to speak, okay? So these foundational pieces of information from the cornerstone form the cornerstone of effective research, okay? And they are very, very crucial in what you're going to have, because when you're dealing overseas, if you're writing letters or communicating with people, it's really, really important to have all your ducks in a row, so you're not wasting other people's time, and you can create nice, friendly, proper connections, okay? And if you're sort of unfamiliar with maybe what it means to have like good research methodology, well, thankfully, I've written an article entitled Genealogy Research Online, the one ultimate user-friendly beginner's guide on how to build a strong foundational methodology before conducting research. Okay, and so that's it. Start with what you know. Okay, and step 2, pinpoint the country. Where are you going? Okay, like this article again is focusing on Germany or Italy, but you can use this for Japan, you can use this for France, you can use this for Lithuania, anywhere you want, okay? And I happen to be recording this on Lithuanian Independence Day, so happy Independence Day to Lithuania, and happy belated Independence Day to the United States. And so anyway, sorry, knowing where your ancestors came from is essential, okay? So, you try to get to know the country itself, because records are not just housed by country. Sometimes, oftentimes, they have national archives, but how is the country arranged, right? Geopolitically, right? In the United States, we have a country, we have states, we have counties, right? And so on and so forth. In other countries, they call those municipalities, or they might call those states, or they might call those any other things like a province or a parish or a village. Okay, so get to know the lay of the land. In England, you're going to search parish records oftentimes when you go farther back in time, right? Village records, things like that. So know what exists. So when you're asking for information, if someone says, oh, do you want a parish record or a village transcript, or do you want something else, you're going to know the nomenclature of the country itself. Which, anyway, by the way, it's very enlightening to see and understand how other countries sort of organize themselves, okay? And it's also important because of everything we have in the United States today in terms of our organizational structure, we borrowed from other countries anyway, right? So learn those things about the country, and you're learning about yourself, and you're learning about your ancestors, okay? So step 3, you want to learn about the language. Now, this is also the linguist in me speaking. I have a degree in linguistics, and my specialty is languages. And when I've traveled, I've always tried to learn a bit of the language before I go, but it really helps you endear yourself to people. And just on a general level, you cannot sort of assume that everything's going to be written in English, because it is not. Okay, it depends. If your ancestors come from English-speaking countries, maybe you're okay, maybe you're not. There are different dialects of English around the world as well, so things may not always translate one-to-one. If you're going to Germany or Italy or France or Japan or anywhere else, you're going to encounter records in the source language, and it's good to have a basic command, not in terms of speaking the language, which would be good when you're communicating. I always begin with a greeting in the language and try to, use certain nuances to sort of help build a connection and be respectful, right? At the end of the day, you want to be respectful, okay? Because, I don't know, I look at it like those are my people too, in a way. So you're talking to somebody that your family came from that area. And so it's just a broader sort of, like you're going back in time. Okay, so, but I've given you a common list of terms on the site for birth, baptism, marriage, death, parents, occupation in German and Italian. You can use Google. You can use wordreference.com. Google Translate's probably the best. Family Search has its own sort of word list for certain languages. So you want to get at least a command of these words here: birth, baptism, marriage, death, parents, occupation, okay, things like that. And once you have that vocabulary, it's going to help you tremendously, especially going through certain search sites like Family Search and Genealogy. Like, I don't know, I guess for other, I'm trying to think broadly, but specifically when I've done research in countries that are not based in English, you got to find the records, and it's good to sort of know what you're working with. Okay. So learn a bit about the language. Find the right records abroad. So this is kind of cool, and it might take a little bit of work on your part, and it took me a little bit of work on my part to find out where the actual records are. And this is actually going to coincide, I think, with step 6 and step 7. No, step 6 and step 5 on this list here, because I found the records I needed to search in Italy, for say, because I had met other living relatives, and on Ancestry, and on, maybe I was on like a Facebook group, genealogy group, and someone said, hey, use this site over here to search for records in Italy. And it actually was exactly what I'd been looking for, and I was trying to search on my own through Google. But once I found this site, I unlocked so much of my own genealogy abroad. So you should do the same with that. Finding the right records. And so you have to understand where the records are kept in, like for church records and parish records, but try to find the online databases as soon as you can, which is so important, because you don't want to spend a lot of time writing people, sending letters or emails back and forth. But if you can find an online database that has these archives, and oftentimes they might be in a different language, you can use Google Translate to actually translate pages into English and try to go from there and search. And oftentimes, if you go farther back, it kind of helps to learn a bit of Latin. Okay, don't let that scare you. But, back, prior to 1800, a lot of records were kept in Latin, because that was the language of record of the church, because the church held a lot of records, because they were the ones that, baptized people and did all the ceremonies for births, marriages, and deaths and stuff, okay? So, understanding the records in your source country, okay? So find the portals, find out where they are to go research, okay? Sometimes, and again, may take a bit of doing, but use other social networks to help you out. So step 5, and again, step 5 and 6 helps you with step 4. So let's move into that. So kind of help think about the context of what I just said. So once you've exhausted your online databases, your next move in how to research ancestors from another country is to contact local archives directly once you've found them and established your sort of pathway, okay? And this requires patience, but the rewards can be deeply personal and historically significant, okay? Don't expect to hit a home run the first time you're stepping up a plate. so to speak. You're not going to throw your touchdown pass the first time the ball leaves your hand, okay? You're going to encounter, successes and failures, and you're going to hit roadblocks, and then you're going to find other things. But such is the nature of research and doing genealogy, even more so when you're doing it through another country and another sort of system that you have to navigate through, and dealing with people who may have different worldviews and different nuances and different ways of doing business. In linguistics, we studied a lot on the social cultural sort of patterns of languages and peoples, right? The interface of language and culture, where being direct is not always nice, or being indirect is not always nice. So again, you have to kind of understand how people think and how people do businesses in other country. And you're kind of doing transactions basically when you're asking for records. So be polite, right? It's basically the way to do it. Okay. So, and when you contact them, let them know certain things up front. I found it's very important to let them know sort of like, hey, my family came from this area. These are our surnames, and I'm looking for this information. And, sometimes they care about your family story. Sometimes they don't. They just are very transactional. But again, you work with how they want to work. And that's just been my own research history. I've researched through Italy. I've researched through Lithuania, and primarily those two countries. But you got to really understand how people accept your request in terms of their sort of modes and modalities. So very, very important to understand that, okay? Which is why understanding the language and a bit about the culture of how things are done really is going to unlock doors for you, okay? So again, I've given you a lot of tips on the blog of how to write, in Germany and Italy, but going through the state archives, okay? Oftentimes what you can do, you can hire researchers to go and do these things for you. You can kind of almost skip all these steps. Well, I wouldn't say skip all the steps, because in reality, you still want to have a good handle on what the process is, even before you hire somebody, so that they're not doing you a disservice, okay? And I've hired paid researchers myself, so I can sort of speak to this. And I've had researchers that did great jobs and some that did mediocre jobs, okay? But at the end of the day, I'm glad of the information I got. And I always fact check all of my information. And sometimes I'll bring, uncoordinated facts back to them. Sometimes they like it, sometimes they don't. And such is the nature of international relations, I guess. So step 6, connect with living relatives. So you could reach out to potential relatives overseas, try to make contact and see if they'll sort of respond and help you out. Sometimes they may have old family records that archives don't, or are compatible with the archives. Maybe you'll make a hit. Sometimes family want to hear from other families. Sometimes they think you're after something. Who knows, right? So it can be very, very, like negotiating going on, right? And of course, you always want to be humble and very, very respectful when you're speaking to families, and make sure that they're comfortable. And, you don't want to come off like you're making demands. And sometimes I think the process may take a little longer. I don't know, and I've had successes. I've had a cousin of mine actually meet our family in the village that our great-grandfather and great-grandmother came from. And he was lucky because he was there and happened to go to the village they came from and had a wonderful, wonderful introduction. And so, it can go different ways. And you get pictures oftentimes, or wedding, ceremonial items or whatever. Okay. But so connect with living relatives. And when I say connect with living relatives, these connections don't have to just be people in the country. You can connect with DNA relatives or social network relatives. And so, like for me, going on Ancestry, I do my DNA test there. I can meet people from other countries. I can message them that I'm a DNA match. And sometimes you can strike up a conversation and a friendship. Or if you're on, like I'm on a few Facebook genealogy groups specific to my ancestry, and I ask questions all the time because it's in another country. And I say, ask like, hey, are there good researchers here? Or like, what is this village like? Or you can ask and get to know people that will come forward. And oftentimes, this is a great part with smaller country networks, is that, sometimes people will have your family surname. And then when they see you're researching that surname, wow, like all these wonderful doors open. So These are just some of my stories and my experiences that I'm sharing with you so that I can help you out get to where you want to go. And, I'll stop just for a second and say, if you guys ever have questions, you guys have my contact information, drop a comment down in the comments, or head over to the blog and drop a comment down at the bottom, and I'll be happy to try and help you. So DNA social networks are great as well. Online communities, which include message boards, of course, Facebook groups, and all that sort of stuff. Okay, last step, preserve and share your discoveries. So now that you've uncovered the past, or are uncovering the past, because it's a never-ending journey. Let me tell you, never-ending journey, okay? Because here's what happens, and this is just my own deal. Once you start uncovering the stories and connections and documents, then you're going to want to go there, okay? So it's really, really going to be this ongoing, it's a wonderful, wonderful journey. And once you meet your first distant relative in person, I swear there's just nothing as special as that. And I've done this several times, and it's it makes me just glow with happiness just thinking about the personal connections. So, and one of the most satisfying parts of how to research ancestors from another country is sharing the journey with others. So turning your research into family trees, keepsakes, digital albums, or doing what I do here, trying to share my story on my blog and my YouTube channel to get other people inspired. It's really, really, I love doing that so much. Publish your story, create digital archives, okay? Now, as we like to do, I'm gonna stop for a second and give you a quiz. I love quizzes. This is so cool to me because I wanna just test where you are. This is not really a mid-post quiz because we're kind of done with the article here, so hang on. This is a 5-question quiz. I've given you 3-question quizzes up to now. We're gonna give you a 5-question quiz. Okay, are you ready? Okay, let's go. Take a deep breath, focus in, 5-question quiz. Here we go. Question 1. What does parish register usually refer to? A, military records, B, church-based records, or C, citizenship papers. Are you ready? Okay, the answer is B. Parish registers usually refer to church-based records. Awesome. If you got that, hey, give yourself a pat on the back and applause. Number 2. Which empire ruled parts of Germany and Italy before unification? Okay, which empire ruled parts of Germany and Italy before unification? A, the Ottoman Empire, B, the Austro-Hungarian Empire, or C, the Holy Roman Empire. Are you thinking? Are you thinking? All right, here's the answer. It's once again B. It's the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Yay, if you got that right, stand up and give yourself some applause. Okay, number 3. A gazetteer helps you A, translate foreign terms, B, locate places, C, identify ancestors. What is it? A gazetteer helps you B, locate places. How can there be 3 B's in a row? Oh my gosh, I was tricking you. Okay, locate places. If you got right, you got 3 in a row. Good on you. All right, we got 4 more to go. 4 more to go. This is number 4. 2 more to go. The word Hochzeit in German means burial. A, B, birth. C, marriage. Hochzeit in German means marriage. If you got that right, marriage. Yay! Hochzeit, I don't know what means marriage. I was going to make a little joke there, but number 5 out of 5. Last question. Let's get to this. What type of record is a militia roll? What type of record is a militia roll? Everybody should get this, okay? A school enrollment. B, a land tax record. Or C, a military document. Okay, a militia roll is obviously a military document. All right, post a comment down below. How many did you get out of 5? 2 out of 5, 3 out of 5, 4 out of 5. What'd you get? Post your number down below, okay? Post your number. All right. If you scored 5 or 4 or 5, man, you're really good. You're really, really good. If not, keep working at it. You're good. You're a star. You got this, okay? And I'm going to leave you guys with a challenge right before we sign off here. And again, thank you so much for watching this. But here's your challenge. Now that you know how to research ancestors from another country, Here's your challenge. Pick one immigrant ancestor, choose someone who crossed an ocean, changed the name, and started a new life. Identify their port of departure and arrival. Okay. Search for their birth or baptism record in their home, village, or town, and find one new document from their country of origin this week. Okay. Big task. Big task. Pick an ancestor, identify their port of departure, where they came in, and search for a birth or baptism record, a birth record, and then find one document from their country of origin this week. Man, that is going to be astounding. If you can accomplish that and complete this challenge, you have got some really, really high-level skills. I tell you what, this is important. This is going to be a very, very important, satisfactory challenge that you will have completed, especially if this is your first. Okay. Anyway, thank you guys so much. Thank you for listening, and thank you for tuning in. You guys are locked into the FamilyHistoryFoundation.com. Check us out online. QR code at the end if you're watching this and you want to just link it on your phone. All right, love you. See you in the next one. And once again, keep supporting family history and genealogy. Keep learning and keep researching.